Today I want to talk to you about making embellished photo frames for your home using scrapbooking and paper crafting supplies. As you can see with these examples, it's really easy to make a nice home decor accent using a piece of paper, some adhesive, and a few embellishments. The first thing you need is a frame. You have a couple different options. You can pick up an inexpensive unfinished wood frame like this one. They're available at most hobby stores. The first thing you want to do to prep an unfinished wood frame would be to paint it. You'll want to paint the sides and the back so that it'll look nice when it's on display. The other option is to buy a frame that's already been painted. I picked this one up at my local Hobby Lobby. It was on clearance. It's a little scratched and beat up, but that's okay because I'm going to be recovering the front and that won't show. Whenever you're shopping for frames that are already painted, especially ones that are on clearance, you'll want to look and make sure that they're not damaged too heavily on the sides and the back, since that will be showing. Oftentimes I go with a distressed and shabby look to my projects, so a little bit of wear around the edges doesn't bother me. If you're using a pre-painted frame, you'll want to remove any embellishments or anything lumpy on the front. This one had a wooden shoe on it that was just lightly tacked on with glue. It was easily popped off. You'll also want to remove the glass so that you'll be able to trim and sand easily. The adhesive I use for my frames is mounting adhesive by Therm O Web. Essentially, it's double-sided adhesive in a sheet. It has two backing papers on it. To begin using it, you'll just want to peel away one backing sheet and apply it directly to your frame. I like to press it in place as I pull away that backing. Next, you take the frame, turn it over, and use a craft knife to trim away the extra adhesive. I find always with using a craft knife that a fresh blade is the best. I just let the edge of my frame be my guide for trimming that away. Any of those scraps of adhesive that you've trimmed away, you can easily just put right back on the backing sheet and set aside to keep them from sticking to anything else and to use those again. I lightly press the adhesive into place, and then I take the pattern paper that I want to use. I pull up the other backing sheet. And you'll want to make note if your frame has a direction. For instance, if it had a hanger, that you're always keeping that at the top so that whenever you're finished, it'll be in the correct place. And then, like I did with the mounting adhesive sheet, I just lined up my paper with the edge of the frame. Press that into place, turn it over, and trim again. The paper I'm using today is by Studio Calico. It's their brand new anthology line. Now, as we're working, you could have actually put the sheet on, the adhesive sheet, and your pattern paper, and not cut them individually. If you had done that, then your scrap paper would have adhesive on them as well. I like to cut them separately so that this piece of paper that I've cut away from the inside and from the sides is still usable for another project. Next, you'll want to sand the edges. I use a black emery board that I've picked up at the beauty supply store. I believe these heavy-duty black ones are for acrylic nails. I like these because they're inexpensive and they're very heavy-duty. And when you're sanding on a lot of wood projects, if you're using a softer emery board or file stick, you will wear through it very quickly. I sand on a lot of wood projects, and these hold up and last me forever. And since you can buy them in a bulk pack, you always have one handy. You don't need to do a lot of sanding. I just like to smooth the edge so that my paper blends really nicely into my frame. Just brush away that dust, and your frame is covered. Now, in place of the mounting adhesive sheets, you could use a decoupage glue, for instance, like Mod Podge. The reason I prefer the sheets, though, for quickness, rather, is because I can work instantly and not have to wait for drying time for the adhesive. After I sand, I like to follow up with a little bit of inking. I just think it gives a really nice finished look to the edge of the frame. And on this particular frame, I'm using Stormy Sky from Tim Holtz Distress Collection. That's it. That's the hard work, actually, for covering your frame. Now is the fun to embellish it.